I didn't think pressing upload would erase my entire life. But at 11:47 p.m., when I hit publish on that video, I felt something crack in my chest. Not fear. Not excitement. Something heavier. Like I had just declared war on someone who didn't even know I existed. My name is Ethan. And 3 months ago, I was just another small YouTuber with 14,892 subscribers. Not 15K. Not enough to matter. Just enough to feel like I was building something real. I wasn't famous. I wasn't rich. But the people who watched me trusted me. And that meant everything. The man I exposed? He had 8.4 million subscribers. Brand deals with companies I couldn't even get an email response from. A verified checkmark. A fan base that would defend him like he was family. His name was Marcus Vale. And he was lying. I didn't wake up one morning wanting to take down a giant creator. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't chasing clout. I was a fan first. That's the part that still makes my stomach twist. I found Marcus's channel during one of the lowest points of my life. I was broke. My freelance editing gigs had dried up. My landlord had started checking in a little too often. Marcus made videos exposing fake entrepreneurs and online scammers. He positioned himself as the watchdog of YouTube. The truth teller. The guy who stood up to manipulation. He talked about integrity, transparency, honesty. I believed him. And because I believed him, I started modeling my own small channel after his style. Deep dives. Research-heavy breakdowns. Receipts on screen. Calm delivery. My audience slowly grew. But then something strange happened. I noticed inconsistencies. At first, it was small. A screenshot in one of his expose videos that looked edited. A date that didn't align. A clip taken out of context. I told myself I was overthinking it. Who was I to question someone that big? But once you see one crack in the glass, you start noticing the fractures everywhere. So I did something stupid. I paused one of his viral expose videos frame by frame. Zoomed in. Enhanced the screenshot. And my heart started pounding so hard I had to sit back in my chair. The evidence he used to expose someone? It was altered. Subtly. Cleverly. But altered. I remember staring at my monitor, my reflection faint in the black bars of the paused video. Maybe it's just compression, I whispered to myself. So I dug deeper. I pulled the original archived webpage he claimed to expose. Compared timestamps. Compared fonts. Compared pixel alignment. The differences were microscopic, but they were there. Marcus hadn't just exposed someone. He had fabricated part of the evidence. I didn't sleep that night. I kept refreshing his comment section. Millions of people praising him. Calling him brave. Calling him a hero. And all I could think was, they don't know. For 2 weeks, I sat on it. I recorded 3 different drafts of a video exposing him. Deleted them all. Who would believe me? A nobody with 14K subscribers accusing an 8 million sub giant of faking evidence? It sounded insane. But every time I watched his videos after that, it felt different. I started seeing patterns. Exaggerated claims. Selective cropping. Dramatic pauses where there didn't need to be any. And then I found the charity discrepancy. That was the moment everything shifted from suspicion to certainty. Marcus had launched a fundraiser during one of his exposing scammers campaigns. He claimed all ad revenue from a specific video plus donations would go to a small disaster relief organization. He showed donation receipts on screen. But something bothered me. The receipt ID numbers didn't follow standard formatting for that organization. So I emailed the charity directly. I didn't expect a reply. But 3 days later, I got one. They thanked me for my concern, and informed me that no such donation had been recorded under Marcus's name or his business entity. I reread the email 5 times. My palms were sweating. This wasn't about altered screenshots anymore. This was money. This was trust. This was millions of people believing they were helping someone. And suddenly, it didn't feel like drama. It felt like responsibility. I remember staring at my subscriber count that night. 14,892. If I posted this and got it wrong, I was done. If I posted this and got it right, I was also done. Because there was no universe where Marcus Vale would just ignore me. He built his empire on destroying reputations. And I was about to question his integrity. I kept hearing this voice in my head. You're not big enough to survive this. But another voice answered back. Maybe you're big enough to start it. At 11:47 p.m., I exported the video. The title was simple. Something isn't adding up. No accusations. No clickbait. Just facts. Frame comparisons. Email screenshots. Side-by-side analysis. I didn't insult him. I didn't yell. I didn't dramatize. I just showed the inconsistencies. And before I could talk myself out of it, I pressed upload. The video went live. For the first 5 minutes, nothing happened. Then one comment appeared. Then 3. Then my phone buzzed. And buzzed again. And again. I opened YouTube Studio. Views, 312. Refreshing. 2,400. My chest tightened. Something was happening. But it wasn't what I expected. The first top comment read, "Clout chasing loser." The second, "Imagine trying to cancel Marcus for attention." Third, 14K subs trying to take down a legend skull. My stomach dropped. They hadn't even watched it. They were defending him on reflex. And then, I saw it. Marcus Vale had posted on Twitter. "Sad to see small creators spread misinformation for clicks. I'll address this tomorrow." Tomorrow. He said tomorrow. And in that single word, I realized my life was about to split in two before and after. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Notifications turned from dozens to hundreds. Then thousands. My subscriber count started dropping. 14,892. 14,761. 14,602. Every refresh felt like someone pulling bricks out from under my feet. I hadn't even slept yet. And already, the internet was turning on me. My phone died at 3:12 a.m. Not because I forgot to charge it. Because it never stopped vibrating. I woke up to sunlight cutting across my ceiling and this heavy, nauseating silence in my apartment. For a split second, I convinced myself it was a nightmare. Then I plugged my phone in. The screen lit up. 3,847 notifications. My throat went dry. YouTube Studio loaded slowly, like it was bracing me for impact. Subscriber count, 11,903. I didn't even feel it at first. My brain refused to process the number. Then it hit. 3,000 people had left overnight. 3,000. My chest tightened like someone had wrapped wire around my ribs. The video? 428,000 views. It should have felt like a breakthrough moment. Any small creator dreams about that kind of exposure. But the like-to-dislike ratio was brutal. Comments flooded with the same phrases. Jealous. Clout leech. Fake evidence. Take this down before you get sued. And then I saw something worse. Reaction videos. Big commentary channels were already reacting to me. Not to my evidence. To me. They zoomed in on my profile picture. Mocked my subscriber count. Called me another failed YouTuber trying to spark controversy. Not one of them had actually debunked my claims. They didn't need to. Marcus had already tweeted again. Addressing the false accusations tonight. Sad how far people will go for 15 minutes of fame. He didn't say my name. But he didn't have to. His fans found me. My Instagram DMs were filled with messages that ranged from insults to threats. One read, "Delete your channel before we delete it for you." My hands physically started shaking. I've always thought I had thick skin. You can't be on the internet without developing some armor. But this wasn't criticism. This was a swarm. And swarms don't debate. They crush. At 7 p.m., Marcus went live. I didn't want to watch it. But I had to. He appeared calm. Composed. Almost amused. "Hey guys," he said with that steady voice I once admired. "So apparently I've been exposed." His chat exploded with laughing emojis. He pulled up my video on screen. Paused it on my face. "That's Ethan," he said. "Small creator. 14K subs, well, less now." The chat filled with LS. I felt heat crawl up my neck. He clicked through my evidence. And this is when I understood something terrifying. He was good. He reframed everything. The altered screenshot? Compression artifacts. The charity discrepancy? Delayed processing error. He even showed what looked like an official email from the charity confirming receipt of funds. An email I had never seen. My heart slammed so hard it hurt. Had they lied to me? Had I misunderstood something? Or was he faking it again? Marcus leaned back in his chair. "I get it. Small creators need attention. But spreading misinformation is dangerous. Especially when it involves charities." He looked directly into the camera. "If Ethan doesn't take the video down, I'll have to consider legal options." Legal options. The chat went feral. Sue you him. Ruin him. Take his channel. I felt like the floor was tilting under me. This wasn't debate anymore. This was annihilation. My email dinged. Subject line, copyright strike notice. He had filed a strike against my video. Claimed I used his content unfairly. My stomach dropped through the floor. One more strike and my channel could be terminated. The thing I'd built for 3 years, gone. I sat there in the dark, laptop screen lighting my face, trying to steady my breathing. I replayed his live stream in my head. Something about the charity email he showed bothered me. The logo alignment was slightly off. The footer looked cropped. And the tone? It didn't match the email I had received. That tiny spark of doubt reignited. He was doubling down. Which meant one of two things. Either I was catastrophically wrong, or he was panicking. And if he was panicking, that meant I had hit something real. But the internet didn't care about truth. It cared about momentum. And right now, momentum was crushing me. My subscriber count dipped below 10K that night. For digits. I stared at it like I was watching a flat line. For the first time since pressing upload, I considered deleting the video. Not because I thought I was wrong, but because I didn't know if I could survive being right. I opened my comment section again. Buried between thousands of insults. One comment caught my eye. "Ethan, check the metadata on the email he showed. Something's off." It had only 12 likes. No replies. I clicked on the user. Anonymous account. No videos. Just that one comment. But it planted something in my head. Metadata. If Marcus fabricated that charity confirmation email, there would be fingerprints. Digital ones. I felt a pulse of adrenaline cut through the exhaustion. This wasn't over. Not yet. If he wanted to threaten legal action, if he wanted to weaponize his fanbase, then I needed something airtight. Not speculation. Not inconsistencies. Proof. The kind of proof that doesn't argue. The kind that detonates. I opened my laptop again. And for the first time since this started, I stopped defending myself. And started hunting. I didn't sleep that night either. Not because of fear this time. Because of focus. When you're drowning, your brain does something strange. It either shuts down, or it sharpens. Mine sharpened. I replayed Marcus's live stream again, this time screen recording the entire segment where he showed the charity email. I paused on every frame where the message was visible. Zoomed in. Enhanced contrast. Adjusted brightness. And there it was. A tiny flicker in the top right corner. For half a second, when he switched tabs too quickly, the file name of the email screenshot flashed. Draft_charity_reply_v3.png. Draft. My pulse spiked. Why would a finalized confirmation email be labeled draft? Unless it wasn't final. Unless it wasn't real. My hands moved faster now. I extracted the frame. Ran it through basic metadata analysis software. Nothing sophisticated, just tools any content creator could use. The creation date of the image? 4 hours before his live stream. 4 hours. Not days ago. Not weeks ago. The same day I uploaded my video. He didn't have that email ready. He made it after I posted. I leaned back in my chair, heart hammering. This wasn't compression artifacts. This wasn't delayed processing. This was reactionary fabrication. But I still needed confirmation from the charity. I replied to their original email thread. I attached a screenshot of the email Marcus showed in his live stream. And I asked one simple question. Can you confirm if this message was sent from your organization? Then I waited. Waiting is torture when your reputation is bleeding out in real time. My subscriber count hovered at 9,612. Every refresh felt like a countdown. Meanwhile, Marcus posted another tweet. Legal team reviewing the situation. Hate misinformation. The replies were brutal. People tagged me. Laughed. Made memes comparing my face to clowns. One popular meme showed my subscriber count falling like stock market crash graphics. It had 38,000 likes. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter. But it did. Because behind every number was a human being deciding I was a liar. And the worst part? I started doubting myself. What if I misunderstood metadata? What if I was seeing patterns because I wanted to? What if I destroyed my own credibility chasing a giant I couldn't take down? That spiral lasted until 2:17 p.m. the next day. That's when the email came. Subject, confirmation request. My hands were shaking so badly I had to place my phone down on the desk and breathe before opening it. The message was short. Professional. Direct. We can confirm that the attached screenshot was not issued by our organization. The formatting does not match our official communication templates, and the reference ID is invalid. Invalid. I read it again. And again. Then I felt something I hadn't felt since this started. Relief. Cold. Focused. Relief. He lied. Not just bent the truth. Not just exaggerated. He fabricated evidence during a live defense. And now I had written confirmation. This was the turning point. But I couldn't rush it. If I posted immediately, it would look reactive. Emotional. Desperate. No. This had to be surgical. I spent the next 12 hours building the second video. Side-by-side comparison of the charity's official template versus his live stream email. Zoom ins on the file name, draft_charity_reply_v3.png. Metadata timestamps. And finally, The email from the charity itself, with sensitive details blurred but headers intact. I didn't use dramatic music. Didn't insult him. Didn't even raise my voice. I just presented the timeline. Upload, 11:47 p.m. His livestream, next day. Email image created, 4 hours before livestream. Charity confirmation, screenshot invalid. And then, at the end, I said something simple. If this is a misunderstanding, Marcus, you have my email. I didn't accuse. I invited clarification. Then I uploaded. This time, I didn't watch the view counter. I walked away. Sat on my apartment floor. Back against the couch. Heart pounding in my ears. 30 minutes later, my phone buzzed. But not violently. One notification. Then another. Then a different tone. Subscriber gained. I opened YouTube Studio slowly. Views, 12,000. Likes were climbing faster than dislikes. Top comment. Wait, this looks serious. Second comment. He can't fake metadata, right? Third. Why hasn't Marcus responded yet? The shift was subtle at first. Like wind changing direction before a storm. Twitter started trending a new phrase. #draft email. Clips of his live stream were being reposted with zoom ins on the file name. People were tagging the charity. Asking questions. Marcus hadn't tweeted. Hadn't posted. Hadn't gone live. For the first time since this started. He was silent. And silence from someone that loud? Is deafening. My subscriber count ticked upward. 9,612. 9,701. 9,844. It wasn't explosive. But it wasn't falling. And that felt like oxygen returning to my lungs. Then something unexpected happened. A mid-sized commentary channel with 400k subscribers posted a video titled, "Did Marcus fake evidence?" They broke down my findings. Objectively. No insults. No mockery. Just analysis. And their comment section was divided. Half defending Marcus. Half questioning him. That division was all I needed. Because once doubt enters a fanbase, it spreads. But I still knew something. Marcus wasn't the type to surrender quietly. He built his empire on dominance. On controlling the narrative. On striking first. And I had just forced him into a corner. Cornered people don't apologize. They escalate. My email refreshed again. New message. From an address I didn't recognize. Subject, cease and desist. My stomach dropped. He wasn't going to debate. He wasn't going to clarify. He was going to try to bury me. And this time, he wasn't coming with tweets. He was coming with lawyers. The cease and desist letter was 8 pages long. 8 pages of legal language designed to do one thing. Scare me. I read the first paragraph 3 times before my brain actually processed it. Defamation. Malicious intent. Financial damages. Immediate removal required. They gave me 48 hours to delete both videos, issue a public apology, and retract all claims. Or they would pursue further legal remedies. My mouth went dry. I've never been sued. I don't come from money. I don't have a legal team on retainer. I had $1,327 in my checking account. That was my entire safety net. I felt small. Not in subscriber count. In reality. This wasn't internet drama anymore. This was someone with millions trying to legally crush someone with almost nothing. I paced my apartment for an hour. Read the letter again. Something about it felt aggressive. Not confident. It was packed with threats. But very light on specifics. No actual breakdown of how my evidence was false. Just claims that I had damaged his brand. That phrase stuck with me. Damaged his brand. Not lied. Not fabricated. Not disproven. Damaged. I opened Twitter. Marcus had finally posted. Legal steps initiated. False accusations have consequences. His replies were mixed now. Still defenders. But also questions. Why not just show the real donation receipt? Why threaten instead of clarify? His control over the narrative was slipping. And he knew it. My email dinged again. Different sender this time. A lawyer. But not his. The subject line read, "I saw your video." My heart pounded as I opened it. The message was short. "My name is Daniel Cho. I specialize in digital media law. I've reviewed your content and the cease and desist letter circulating. If you're interested, I'd like to speak." Circulating. That's when I realized. Someone had leaked the letter. Probably Marcus's own team, thinking it would intimidate me publicly. Instead, it was spreading online. People were screenshotting phrases from it. Breaking down the wording. Pointing out how vague it was. I replied immediately. We scheduled a call. When Daniel's voice came through my speakers, calm and measured, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Stability. He asked me one question first. "Did you fabricate anything?" No, I said. And I meant it. Did you alter evidence? No. Did you receive written confirmation from the charity? Yes. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that made my shoulders physically relax. You're likely protected under fair comment and public interest. Likely. It wasn't a guarantee. But it wasn't doom. He explained something important. Cease and desist letters are often intimidation tactics. Especially when someone wants content removed quickly before a narrative spreads. If they were confident in winning immediately, Daniel said, they wouldn't rush. They'd build a case. I swallowed. So what do? Don't delete anything. And don't respond emotionally. That second part hit harder than the first. Because emotional was exactly how I felt. Marcus tweeted again that night. But this time, he went live. And this live stream was different. No jokes. No amusement. His face looked tighter. Jaw clenched. He addressed the metadata claim. Said file names can be misleading. Said critics were misinterpreting technical details. Then he did something that made my heart spike. He showed what he claimed was the real donation receipt. But it was blurry. Lower resolution than the previous screenshot. He scrolled past it quickly. Too quickly. The chat exploded. Why so blurry? Zoom in. Show the full email. He ignored them. And then, mid-live stream, his stream lagged. Just for a second. But long enough for the high-resolution version of the email to flash on screen before he switched windows. This one had a different file name. Final_donation_confirm.png. Chat went insane. Clips started spreading instantly. Side-by-side comparisons of the two file names. Draft versus final. For hours apart. My phone began vibrating again. But this time, the tone was different. Not anger. Questions. Curiosity. Some of his longtime fans started tweeting. Why are there two versions? This doesn't look good. I watched his view count climb. But so did the skepticism. He ended the stream abruptly. No confident sign-off. No smug smile. Just a tight, we'll handle this legally. The stream ended. Silence followed. And then, a notification I never expected. The charity posted publicly. On their official Twitter account. We have not received the donation publicly claimed by YouTuber Marcus Vale. We are currently reviewing the matter. Currently reviewing the matter. That sentence detonated. Within an hour, #Marcus Exposed started trending. Major commentary channels picked it up. Not as drama. As potential fraud. My subscriber count crossed 12K again. Then 15K. Then 18K. But I didn't feel triumphant. I felt cautious. Because if he was willing to fabricate evidence once, what else was he capable of? My email refreshed again. This time from Daniel. Do not celebrate yet. If financial misconduct is involved, this escalates beyond YouTube. Beyond YouTube. I leaned back in my chair. The ceiling suddenly felt closer. This wasn't just about clout. Or subscriber counts. Or online ego. If the donation was never made, that meant money went somewhere. And that somewhere wasn't the charity. I stared at my screen as the internet slowly turned. Not fully. Not unanimously. But enough. The same people who called me a clout chaser were now asking. Was Ethan right? And Marcus? He hadn't tweeted in 6 hours. For someone who lived online. That was a lifetime. But deep down, I knew something. This wasn't the climax. This was the crack in the dam. And when the pressure builds behind a lie that big, it doesn't leak. It bursts. The burst didn't happen all at once. It started with silence. Marcus didn't post for 20 hours. 20. For a man who uploaded 3 times a week, tweeted hourly, and went live whenever controversy brewed, that silence felt unnatural. Like the calm before something violent. My subscriber count crossed 22,000. Then 30,000. My DMs had changed tone completely. Instead of threats, I was getting, I'm sorry. I defended him too fast. Thank you for not backing down. But there was another kind of message mixed in. Ones that made my stomach twist. I worked with Marcus. You're not wrong. There's more you don't know. Be careful. Be careful. That phrase repeated itself in different forms. At 2:03 p.m., I received an email from someone claiming to be a former editor on Marcus's team. No name. No LinkedIn. Just screenshots. Internal Slack messages. One of them read, "Make sure the charity graphics look legit this time." Dated 2 months before the fundraiser video. My pulse quickened. I didn't know if it was real. It could have been fabricated to manipulate me. But then another email arrived. Different sender. Different screenshots. Similar tone. Revenue from the charity video was allocated to production costs. Production costs. Not donation. I felt something cold settle in my chest. If this was true, it wasn't just misleading. It was calculated. But I couldn't post unverified leaks. That would destroy my credibility. So I forwarded everything to Daniel. His reply came fast. Do not publish internal documents without verification. But preserve everything. Preserve. The word felt heavy. Like we were building a case, not a video. Then something bigger happened. A tech news blog picked up the story. Headline: Questions surround popular YouTuber's charity claims. Neutral tone. Investigative. Not dramatic. That's when brands started reacting. Two of Marcus's sponsors posted vague statements about monitoring the situation. That's corporate language for panic. And panic spreads upward. That evening, Marcus finally broke his silence. He posted a 10-minute video titled, Clearing the Air. His tone was different this time. Less confident. More defensive. He admitted there had been accounting delays. Blamed a third-party management company. Said funds were in transit. In transit. The charity replied within 30 minutes. Funds referenced have not been received. Direct. Public. Unambiguous. I watched Marcus's comment section fracture in real time. Longtime fans asking for proof. Moderators deleting critical comments. New accounts spamming support messages. It felt chaotic. Unstable. Like a throne wobbling on cracked stone. My subscriber count hit 50,000 that night. 50,000. The number I had dreamed about for years. And I achieved it not with some viral tutorial or clever commentary piece, but by refusing to delete a video. I should have felt victorious. But instead I felt tense. Because powerful people don't lose quietly. At 11:12 p.m., my apartment building's front door buzzer rang. My heart stopped. Nobody visits me. Especially not at night. I froze. The buzzer rang again. Longer this time. I walked slowly to the intercom. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Delivery. I hadn't ordered anything. What company? I asked. Pause. Then static. The line disconnected. I stood there for a full minute. Heart pounding in my ears. I didn't buzz them in. 5 minutes later, I checked the building entrance from my window. No one there. But a small envelope sat on the lobby floor. I waited another 10 minutes before going down. My hands felt cold as I picked it up. No postage. No stamp. Just my name written in black ink. Ethan. Nothing else. I took it upstairs. Locked my door. And opened it carefully. Inside was a single printed photo. A screenshot of my YouTube channel. With my subscriber count circled. And underneath it, written in red marker. Know your place. My throat tightened. This wasn't online anymore. This was physical. Close. Too close. I took a photo of the envelope and sent it to Daniel. Then I called the police. They came. Took notes. But there were no cameras in the lobby. No fingerprints visible. Just paper. Just ink. Just intimidation. Back upstairs, I sat on my couch staring at the photo. My mind replaying everything. Marcus threatening legal action. Internal messages about charity graphics. Accounting delays. Sponsors pulling back. And now this. Was it him? A fan? Someone trying to scare me into silence? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. Fear was the goal. And for the first time since this started, it was working. My phone buzzed again. Not a threat. Not a meme. A notification from YouTube. Marcus's channel had posted a community update. Taking a short break to focus on personal matters. The comments were locked. Locked. He never locked comments. Ever. And that's when I realized something. The man who built his empire by exposing others was now hiding. But hiding doesn't erase evidence. And if former employees were reaching out, if sponsors were stepping back, if the charity was publicly denying his claims, then this wasn't just a scandal. It was unraveling. And unraveling doesn't stop halfway. I looked at the photo again. Know your place. For 3 years, my place was small. Quiet. Ignored. Now my place was in the center of something bigger than I ever imagined. And the deeper I dug, the more I realized the charity lie might have been the surface. Not the core. Because if he fabricated one thing publicly, what had he done privately? I didn't tell my parents about the envelope. They already thought YouTube was just a hobby. Explaining that someone might be trying to intimidate me because I exposed an 8 million subscriber creator wasn't a conversation I was ready to have. Instead, I did what I'd been doing since this started. I worked. Daniel and I set up a shared folder. Every screenshot. Every email. Every live stream clip. Every tweet. Timestamped. Archived. Backed up twice. Documentation wins cases, he told me. Emotion loses them. So I shut my emotions down and leaned into process. That night, another email came in from a former team member. This one wasn't anonymous. Name, Rachel Kim. Subject, I can't stay quiet anymore. My pulse jumped. Her message was long. She said she'd worked as a junior researcher for Marcus for 9 months. She attached screenshots of internal conversations and described how certain expose videos were structured. Sometimes the evidence didn't line up perfectly, she wrote. We were told to tighten the narrative. Tighten the narrative. That phrase made my jaw clench. She explained how clips were selectively trimmed. How thumbnails were tested to maximize outrage. How certain claims were exaggerated because controversy converts. And then she wrote something that made my stomach twist. The charity situation wasn't the first time. She claimed there had been other miscommunications about sponsorship transparency and affiliate disclosures. I felt a wave of adrenaline. This was bigger than I thought. But I also felt fear. Because if this went from fabricated email to systemic manipulation, the backlash would intensify. I replied carefully. Asked if she was willing to speak on record. She hesitated. Not publicly, she wrote. But I'll verify privately if needed. Fair. Nobody wants to torch their career. The next morning, a major commentary creator, 2.3 million subscribers, uploaded a 40-minute breakdown of the entire timeline. They included my videos, Marcus's live streams, the charity's public statements, the file name discrepancies. The tone wasn't sensational. It was clinical. And that's what changed everything. When drama channels talk, it's noise. When analytical creators dissect, it becomes evidence. By afternoon, #MarcusVale was trending worldwide. Not with memes. With threads. Detailed threads. Screenshots. Timestamps. Side-by-side comparisons. People were doing their own research now. And once the internet decides to investigate you, it doesn't stop at one issue. Old clips resurfaced. Moments where Marcus contradicted himself. Times he claimed to donate percentages that didn't match public filings. Interviews where numbers didn't add up. His silence stretched into a third day. Sponsors began pulling quietly. One deleted every sponsored video he appeared in. Another issued a public statement suspending their partnership. You could feel the shift. The pedestal was cracking. But I didn't celebrate. Because the higher someone stands, the harder they fall. And sometimes they try to grab someone on the way down. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Ethan? The voice was controlled. Measured. Older. This is Mark Holloway. I represent MarcusVale. My throat tightened. I'm aware, I said. He didn't waste time. You've caused significant reputational damage. I almost laughed at the phrasing. Caused. As if evidence just appeared out of nowhere. I presented facts, I replied. Pause. We're prepared to settle this quietly. Settle. That word hung in the air. What does that mean? I asked. We'll compensate you for removal of the videos and a statement clarifying that there was a misunderstanding. Compensate. My heart started pounding. He didn't say a number. But the implication was clear. Money. Real money. More than I'd ever seen at once. Enough to pay rent for years. Enough to upgrade my equipment. Enough to never worry about freelance gigs again. All I had to do was say it was a misunderstanding. My chest tightened. This was the real test. Not threats. Not hate. Temptation. If everything was legitimate, I said slowly, why would you need me to clarify anything? Silence. Then a shift in tone. You're a small creator, Ethan. This kind of attention can be overwhelming. We're offering a way out. A way out. I looked around my apartment. Cheap desk. Second-hand couch. Camera tripod leaning in the corner. For 3 years, I fought for relevance. And now someone wanted to buy my silence. My mind flashed back to the envelope. Know your place. Maybe this was my place. A small creator who almost exposed something big, but got paid to disappear. My heartbeat felt loud in my ears. I'm not interested, I said. The line went quiet for a second. Then colder. Think carefully. Lawsuits are expensive. Click. The call ended. I stared at my phone. Hands shaking. That wasn't just intimidation. That was confirmation. If he were innocent, he wouldn't need to buy silence. He'd prove it. I texted Daniel immediately. His response was blunt. Do not communicate further without me. This is significant. Significant. The internet kept digging. A financial YouTuber posted a breakdown of estimated ad revenue from Marcus's charity video. The numbers were staggering. If even a portion wasn't donated, we weren't talking about accounting errors. We were talking about serious money. Then the biggest crack appeared. A well-known investigative journalist tweeted. Working on a story regarding discrepancies in YouTuber charity fundraising. DMs open. That tweet alone shifted the weight of the situation. This wasn't just platform drama anymore. It was media territory. And media doesn't care about subscriber counts. It cares about documentation. Marcus finally posted again. But this time, it wasn't a defense. It was an apology. Vague, carefully worded. He admitted to administrative errors. Said he never intended to mislead. Promised to resolve outstanding discrepancies. But he never addressed the fabricated email. Never explained the draft file. Never denied the settlement offer. And the comments? They weren't locked this time. They were ruthless. Not hate. Not mockery. Disappointment. Betrayal. The kind that cuts deeper. Because his audience didn't just watch him. They trusted him. The same way I once did. My subscriber count crossed 100,000 that night. A number I never imagined hitting. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like witnessing something collapse. Marcus's channel went dark 2 days later. Videos private. Community tab wiped. Live streams gone. Like he was trying to erase himself. But the internet doesn't forget. Clips were archived. Screenshots saved. Threads documented. And then the final confirmation came. The charity released an official statement. They had not received the funds previously claimed. An investigation was underway. Investigation. The word carried weight. Legal weight. I sat back in my chair, staring at my screen. 3 weeks ago, I was a 14K subscriber creator who admired Marcus Vail. Now his empire was crumbling under scrutiny. Not because I attacked him, but because I refused to delete a video. And yet, as the silence around his channel grew heavier, I felt something strange in my chest. Not triumph. Not joy. But the realization that exposing someone powerful doesn't end cleanly. It lingers. It leaves questions. Because when someone builds a career on exposing others, and then gets exposed themselves, you have to wonder, how many other truths are still buried? The first mainstream article dropped on a Tuesday morning. Not a blog. Not a reaction channel. A verified publication. The headline didn't scream. It didn't accuse. It simply asked, where did the money go? That question did more damage than any insult ever could. Because questions invite investigation. And investigation invites receipts. I read the article slowly. They cited my videos. The charity's statements. Financial estimates. Former team member testimony, anonymous, but verified. They didn't mention the settlement call. Daniel advised against that. Keep leverage, he said. But the article did something far more powerful. It framed Marcus not as a villain, but as a case study. Influencer culture. Lack of oversight. Audience trust monetized at scale. And once someone becomes a case study, they stop being untouchable. His subscriber count began dropping publicly. 8.4 million. 8.3. 8.1. The live count streams on YouTube tracked it like a stock crash. I watched for 5 minutes. Then closed it. Because something about watching another person's downfall in real time, even someone who tried to bury me, didn't feel good. But the internet doesn't operate on feelings. It operates on momentum. Former collaborators started distancing themselves. I had no knowledge. We are deeply disappointed. We stand for transparency. That phrase, transparency, echoed everywhere. The same word Marcus used in his own brand slogan. The irony wasn't subtle. Then something unexpected happened. Rachel, the former employee, asked if we could talk over video. Not recorded. Just conversation. When her face appeared on my screen, she looked exhausted. Not dramatic. Just tired. I didn't think it would get this big, she admitted. Neither did I said. She told me about internal pressure. How viral exposés were planned weeks in advance. How narratives were shaped before research was finalized. How the team sometimes backfilled evidence to match thumbnails. Backfilled. Another phrase that stuck. Did he know? I asked quietly. She didn't hesitate. Yes. Not a guess. Not speculation. Certainty. That confirmation hit harder than everything else. Because it erased the possibility of misunderstanding. Mistakes are messy. Patterns are deliberate. And this was a pattern. That night, Marcus broke his silence again. But not on YouTube. On Instagram. A long text post over a black background. He admitted to serious lapses in judgment. Said he had lost sight of his mission. Announced he would be stepping away indefinitely. Indefinitely. No timeline. No plan. Just retreat. The comments were mixed. Some supportive. Some furious. Some heartbroken. I read a few. Then stopped. Because buried in the chaos, I saw something that unsettled me. A comment with 19 likes. Ethan ruined everything. Not Marcus ruined everything. Me. That's when it hit me. No matter what evidence surfaced, there would always be people who blamed the messenger. Because it's easier to resent the person who breaks the illusion than to accept the illusion was fake. My subscriber count hit 250,000 within the week. Emails flooded in. Interview requests. Collaboration offers. Sponsorship inquiries. Brands that wouldn't reply to me a month ago were suddenly impressed with my integrity. Integrity. The word felt heavy. Because integrity is expensive. I almost took the settlement. For a split second on that phone call, I imagined it. Deleting the videos. Posting a vague clarification. Taking the money. Nobody would have known. Except me. And that's the part that would have rotted. Daniel called me that evening. There may be formal investigations, he said. If so, you could be contacted. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Am I in danger? I asked. He paused. Legally? Unlikely. Socially? You've made powerful enemies. Powerful enemies. The phrase lingered long after the call ended. A week later, the charity announced they had received a substantial donation from Marcus's business entity. Late, but paid. The statement clarified that the amount matched the previously claimed figure. That created a new wave of debate. See? It was just delayed. He paid after getting caught. Does that make it right? The internet split again. And that's when I realized something crucial. Truth doesn't end arguments. It reshapes them. Marcus never returned to YouTube. At least not publicly. Rumors spread about legal consultations. Financial audits. Internal disputes. Nothing confirmed. But his empire, the one built on exposing others, was gone. Not erased. But hollowed. And me? I sat at my same cheap desk. Same apartment. Different numbers on the screen. 250,000 subscribers. Then 400,000. Then 600,000. My "something isn't adding up" video crossed 5 million views. The irony wasn't lost on me. The video he tried to erase became the foundation of my channel. But here's the part nobody talks about in revenge stories. The quiet after. The moment when the adrenaline fades. When the notifications slow. When the enemy disappears. And you're left alone with the consequences. I didn't feel powerful. I felt responsible. Because now people looked at me the way I once looked at him. As someone who tells the truth. And that's terrifying. Because truth isn't glamorous. It's heavy. One evening, I opened my original draft folder. The first version of my video. The one I almost didn't post. If I had deleted it, Marcus would still be uploading. Still exposing others. Still collecting trust like currency. And maybe, someone else would have discovered it later. Or maybe not. That's the part that still keeps me up sometimes. Not the hate. Not the envelope. Not the threats. But the realization that the difference between silence and exposure was one click at 11:47 p.m. And I almost didn't make it. I leaned back in my chair and looked at my channel banner. No flashy slogan. No Truth Warrior branding. Just my name. Ethan. A small creator. Who pressed upload. And watched the internet turn. Tell me this. If you found proof that someone powerful built their empire on a lie, would you risk everything to expose it, or would you stay silent and protect yourself? The strangest part? He came back. Not with a comeback video. Not with a redemption arc. But quietly. 3 months after his channel went dark, Marcus reappeared, not on YouTube, but on a podcast. A small one. Barely 40,000 subscribers. Strategic. Controlled environment. Friendly host. No live chat. No real-time backlash. I only found out because someone tagged me. Ethan, you need to see this. I clicked. And there he was. Same face. Same voice. But, diminished. Less polished. Less certain. He called it a period of growth. Said he had been overwhelmed by scaling too fast. He reframed everything. The charity issue? A mismanaged logistics error. The fabricated email? A rushed graphic draft accidentally displayed. The settlement offer? He didn't mention it. Of course he didn't. Then he said something that made my chest tighten. I forgive the smaller creator who attacked me. I know he thought he was doing the right thing. Forgive. Attacked. Smaller creator. He never said my name. But he rewrote the story. Not as fraud exposed. But as misunderstanding amplified. And the host nodded sympathetically. That must have been hard. Hard. I felt heat crawl up my neck. 3 months of investigation. Public statements. Sponsor withdrawals. Archive proof. Reduced to hard. I closed my laptop. Walked to my window. The city outside didn't care about YouTube wars. Cars moved. People walked. Life continued. And I felt something I hadn't felt since the beginning. Anger. Not explosive anger. Cold anger. Because narratives matter. And he was rebuilding his. Quietly. Subtly. Planting seeds that maybe he was the victim of internet hysteria. That maybe I overreacted. That maybe this was all blown out of proportion. And here's the terrifying truth about the internet. If you wait long enough, people forget. My channel had crossed 800,000 subscribers by then. I could have ignored it. I could have let him fade into a smaller corner of the internet. But then Daniel sent me a link. Marcus had filed paperwork to launch a new brand. Different name. Different aesthetic. Same management company. He wasn't retreating. He was repositioning. And that's when I realized something. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about pattern recognition. If someone manipulates trust once, and escapes with a partial apology, what stops them from doing it again under a new banner? I didn't want to be the exposed guy. I didn't want my entire identity to orbit one man's collapse. But I also didn't want history rewritten. So I did something different. I didn't upload a reaction. I didn't call him out again. I posted a video titled, "How Narratives Get Rewritten." No names. No thumbnails with red arrows. Just a breakdown. How public figures reframe controversy. How language shifts perception. How apologies can be structured to minimize accountability. I used examples, clips, psychology studies, media patterns, and I let viewers draw their own conclusions. The video hit 2 million views in a week. People connected dots without me pointing fingers. That was the difference between part 1 Ethan and now. I wasn't reacting. I was anticipating. Then something happened that caught me off guard. Marcus reached out. Directly. Not through lawyers. Not through representatives. An email. Subject, "Let's end this." My pulse slowed as I opened it. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't threatening. It was human. He said he never intended for things to spiral. That the pressure of millions of viewers distorted his judgment. That he felt cornered when I posted my video. That he panicked. Panic. Interesting word. He didn't deny the fabricated email. He didn't deny the donation delay. He just framed them as consequences of stress. Then he wrote something that made me pause. "You were braver than I was." I read that line 3 times. Was it manipulation? Closure? Strategy? I couldn't tell. He asked for a private call. No recording. No posting. Just conversation. 3 months ago, I would have jumped at it. For answers. For validation. For confrontation. Now, I hesitated. Because the war was over. But the power dynamic still mattered. I stared at my reflection in my black monitor screen again. The same way I did the night I found the altered screenshot. Except this time, I wasn't the small creator staring at a giant. I was the creator who survived him. And that changed everything. The question wasn't whether he deserved a conversation. The question was, did I? Did I need closure? Or was closure just another way for him to regain control of the narrative? I haven't replied yet. And maybe that's the real twist. Not that the internet turned on him. Not that my channel exploded. But that in the end, the person who once had the power to erase me, is now waiting for my response. And that silence? Feels louder than any upload ever could. But here's what I want to know. If someone who tried to crush you suddenly asks for peace, would you give it to them, or let them sit in the silence they created? I didn't reply to his email for 3 days. Not because I didn't know what to say. But because I finally understood something I didn't at the beginning of all this. Silence is power. For years, Marcus controlled every narrative by being the loudest voice in the room. The first upload. The sharpest tweet. The fastest live stream. And now? He was waiting. On day 4, I wrote back. Short. Direct. I'm open to a call. It will be recorded. For both our protection. No insults. No sarcasm. No emotional weight. Just terms. He replied an hour later. Agreed. That surprised me. The call was scheduled for 6 p.m. All day, I felt that old tightness in my chest return. The same one from the night I hit upload at 11:47 p.m. Except this time, I wasn't afraid of being crushed. I was afraid of something else. Humanizing him. Because villains are easier to defeat than flawed people. At exactly 6 p.m., the call connected. No lawyers. No host. No audience. Just 2 creators on opposite ends of a story that changed both of our lives. He looked tired. Not dramatically. Not theatrically. Just worn down. I won't waste your time, he said. I messed up. Not mistakes were made. Not miscommunications happened. I messed up. It was the first time I'd heard him say it like that. I panicked, he continued. When your first video went live, I felt attacked. My instinct was to defend, not reflect. I didn't interrupt. He admitted the email graphic was created after my upload. He admitted the donation wasn't sent when he claimed. He admitted he thought he could fix it quietly. Fix it quietly. That phrase carried weight. You built your brand exposing dishonesty, I said calmly. Did you realize the irony? He nodded. I do now. There was no yelling. No dramatic confrontation. Just uncomfortable truth sitting in the space between us. I can't undo what happened, he said. But I don't want to be your enemy. That line almost made me laugh. 3 months ago, I was nothing to him. Now I was something he didn't want as an enemy. Funny how power shifts. I didn't start this to destroy you, I replied. I started it because something didn't add up. He looked down. I know. We talked for 40 minutes. About pressure. About ego. About how millions of viewers can distort your sense of reality. At one point, he said something that stuck with me. When you grow too fast, you start thinking you're untouchable. Untouchable. That was the word. That's what this had really been about. Not charity. Not screenshots. Untouchable ego. Before ending the call, he asked, "Are you going to post this?" I paused. That was the moment of real power. I could have turned the call into content. Clipped his admissions. Uploaded a final takedown. It would have done numbers. Huge numbers. But I realized something. I didn't need another viral spike. I didn't need revenge. Justice had already happened. His channel was gone. Sponsors pulled. Public trust fractured. The internet had done what it always does. Amplified. No, I said. This isn't for content. He nodded slowly. And for the first time since this started, there was no tension. Just consequence. We ended the call. I sat there in silence for a long time. 3 months ago, I was a 14K subscriber creator afraid of getting sued. Now I was closing a chapter that reshaped an 8 million subscriber empire. My channel passed 1 million subscribers a week later. 1 million. The number felt surreal. But what mattered more wasn't the number. It was the comments. Thank you for standing firm. You showed us what accountability looks like. You didn't become what you exposed. That last one hit the hardest. Because that was the real danger. Power changes people. Exposure can turn into ego. Validation can turn into addiction. Justice can turn into superiority. I understood now how Marcus slipped. Not as a monster, but as someone who stopped questioning himself. So I made a promise. Not publicly. Not performatively. Privately. Every video I post, every claim I make, every narrative I present, I question it twice. Because the night I hit upload at 11:47 p.m., I thought I was exposing someone else's lie. But what I really exposed was how fragile online empires are when they're built on perception instead of truth. Marcus never fully returned. He rebranded. Smaller audience. Quieter presence. Some people forgave him. Some never did. And me? I'm still in the same apartment. Same desk. Just different numbers on the screen. But here's the truth no one tells you about revenge. It's not the moment the world turns on them that satisfies you. It's the moment you realize you didn't let fear turn you into them. So tell me, if standing up for the truth could cost you everything you've built, would you still press upload?